Okay, sorry about that. I know you guys, my finger slipped and stuff. I can't hold the camera in this angle, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you what I do. Yeah, it's not a great place to put that. What I'm going to do with the potato on how I do these potatoes. If you want a hearty soup, this is a very hearty soup, and this would be considered a meal in itself. You don't really have to make anything else with it because it's got your vegetables, it's got your ham, it's got your peas, so you don't really need to fix anything else. Maybe good bread or something with it would be good, but you really don't need anything. So that's how I'm going to do my potatoes. I'm just going to leave them in chunks, and I'm going to pour them. When I get these other four washed, I'm going to add them to the pot. So let me go wash these really fast. And this is a really, really good winter soup. I would eat this all year round. However, in the summer, ham prices can be a little bit expensive, except at the holidays, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So anytime that you can get a good ham on sale. And my husband, when we bought the ham, didn't realize that hams are already smoked, unless you get what is called a green ham. And the only way you can get a green ham is to go to a butcher. And that's a raw ham. That's a ham that has had nothing done to it. You would obviously need to smoke that. And that takes about 18 hours to smoke a green ham. I have not done that yet. That is on my bucket list to do at some point. Because for those of you that may or may not know, I do own the Big Green Egg, and I will get into that. But that is also, it's not only a grill, it's also a smoker. I can also do pizzas on it. So I can also smoke meats on it. But hams that are smoked, Lacey, get out of the kitchen, will last for a while. Just look at the date that says used by. And usually if you buy it at the holidays, the ham that I bought and I used New Year's Day, or 5 days ago, had a use by day of February. So ham, if you buy a ham and you're like, I'm not really in the mood to make it right away, you don't have to. As long as you don't open the ham and allow it to get to the air, it can stay nice and sealed for over a month in your refrigerator. You just do need to keep it in your refrigerator. Okay, all of my potatoes are cut. However, my soup is not boiling. So I'm going to turn the flame up just a little bit. I did add the ham. And get my good spoon. Oh, I need to get some of that on. It shouldn't take too long to get this to a boil, but you will. I'm going to bring up, if you can see. There we go. My ham is already in the soup. You might have a little fat that comes to the top like that. You're going to want to skim that off. That just is a, as I drop it back in, but came back to the top. Yeah. Let's see. That, just skim that off. You don't want that in the soup, and your fat will come to the top. So just give it a skim. Once this boils, go ahead and add your potatoes. If you're going to add carrots or celery to it, they don't need as much of a cook time. You can actually add those at the very, very end, but add your peas after you add your carrots and your celery. Like I said, I'm going to peel a carrot and chop it into a bite size. I'm going to add that to the stock. It just makes it kind of a nicer stock. You're going to boil it for about 20 minutes and then go ahead and add your peas. Your peas are going to cook relatively fast. They're going to, they're going to cook about 20 to 30 minutes. So actually, you know what? As this boils, I'm going to start adding the peas to it. Like I said, you're going to want to wash your peas. So I'm going to open my bag of peas. And I'm going to grab my phone. Hopefully soon I won't have to be grabbing you. Those are my peas in my colander. And they do stick to everything, so be careful. You're just going to give them a little bit of a rinse. And you're just basically looking for most packaged split peas that I've found have been pretty clean. Back in the olden days, or in my grandmother's younger days when she was alive, probably in the maybe the early 40s or 50s, they weren't processed like they are today. So you really don't need to worry too much about washing them. This step you do need to be very patient on, and do not leave the kitchen when you add your peas to your liquid. Because what's going to happen is your peas are going to drop to the bottom of your pot. You're going to need to stir quite frequently until your soup is thick enough and is done. Otherwise, what is going to happen is peas are going to burn to the bottom of your pot, and your soup's going to take a burnt taste to it. So make sure when you add the peas to the pot that you're constantly in the kitchen stirring the peas. And we'll show you that. My soup just came to a boil. I'm turning it on medium. I'm going to go ahead and add my potatoes now. And I'm going to let the potatoes cook for probably maybe 5 minutes to get a head start on the peas. Because the problem is as they thicken, they can slow the potatoes down somewhat. So usually, I may even go longer. Okay. Now at this point of your soup, make sure it's boiling. You don't want it to go down to a simmer because you're going to need a rolling boil for when you add the peas. But my potatoes are now in here, and hopefully you'll get a good, let's see. There we go. Okay, yeah, see? You can see my potatoes are in there with my ham. You can see my ham. At this point, you've got a pretty good basic soup going. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my carrots washed and diced, and I'm going to add 1 stalk of celery. You can add more if there's a vegetable that you don't like or you want to add, you can add it. I will say don't add onion to your split pea, and here's the reason I say this is you don't want something that is going to outperform the peas, or you're going to get a big taste of onion. You want the peas to be your main focus of the soup. So add 1 carrot, 1 stalk of celery is not going to take away from the peas, but you don't want to also overwhelm the soup. And this is true, I would say, you could do a leek soup base if you're a vegetarian. Do a vegetable base where you're going to use leeks, onions, celery, carrots, parsley, your bay leaf, your black pepper, a good quality vegetable stock, or if you don't want if you don't want to use the stock, cold water, then you're going to add salt because you're going to have no salt in there from the ham and stuff. But when those vegetables are done, um, discard the leeks, especially because they have a very powerful taste. Leek soup is amazing. And at some point, I will make a video on how to do different soups that you may not have thought of trying before. I haven't made a leek soup since I've been married. Actually, and I'll be honest, I haven't made a leek soup before. My grandmother has, though, and it's a very good soup, but it can be overbearing because leeks are part of the root vegetables, so they're in the same classification as onions are. So you can imagine how strong leeks are. But leeks make a very good consommé cold soup. That is very good. So I'm gonna let that boil. It's 5:24. I'm gonna come back in about 10 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and add our peas.